I feel my power. Alice, I think she was the brain of our double, that's for sure, and I was the power.
30,000 Filipinos, one Austrian city, a 20-year-old who has never played a clay court match at this level before.
No, I don't think that it makes it easier. Every single match is so tough. And
Alex Eala arrives in Linz for the Upper Austria Ladies Open, her first WTA 500 event on clay, and before she strikes a single ball, the Philippine embassy in Austria is mobilizing an army, trains from Vienna, packed venues, a diaspora turning a quiet European city into something the tennis world has not seen before. While the world's #1 has been playing in front of rows of empty seats, Eala enters Austria ranked 45 in the world after a hard court swing that saw her reach the round of 16 at both Indian Wells and Miami. The clay represents new territory, a surface she has dominated in junior years but never proven herself on at the highest professional level. Days before her debut, she posted an Instagram story from Linz, a Filipino grocery store. The caption, "Uy Philippines," the Tagalog exclamation of delighted surprise. She called the store a gem. That single post told the real story. Wherever Alex Eala goes, she carries home with her. And home was about to show up in force. The contrast could not be sharper. In one corner, Aryna Sabalenka, 23 wins, 1 loss, the most dominant start to a WTA season in 2026. Multiple titles, the Sunshine Double. The #1 ranking no one is close to touching. In the other corner, reports from Indian Wells in March. Fan videos circulating online, rows of empty seats during Sabalenka's matches, social media backlash over sparse crowds, the world's best player competing in a stadium that looked half-interested. Now Linz, so OWT, a 500 event with a 3,000-seat center court. Sabalenka is not even in the draw. The top seeds are Mira, Andreeva, and others, and yet drama channels across YouTube are reporting something else entirely. Claims of Sabalenka's frustration, speculation of panic, sources suggesting she cannot understand why her dominance on court does not translate to dominance in the stands. Because while she has been winning matches, Alex Eala has been winning something far more valuable. The tournament director saw it coming before anyone else. Sandra Reichel, former professional player, now the woman running the Upper Austria Ladies Open, gave an interview to ABS-CBN Sports on April 5th. Her words were unambiguous. It's great for the Philippines, Filipinos, and tennis fans to have an amazing player.
Alexandra is unbelievable. Great for the Philippines, such an amazing player.
Alexandra Eala is unbelievable. Not just good, unbelievable. Reichel did not stop there. She confirmed Eala would play every one of her matches on center court, not the outer courts, not the practice courts with temporary seating. The main stage, 3,000 seats, all of them for her, because Reichel knows what is coming. Reports from multiple Filipino media outlets and social media accounts detail the mobilization happening across Austria. Approximately 30,000 Filipinos live in the country, many concentrated in Vienna, just a short train ride from Linz. The Philippine embassy issued public encouragement for fans to attend, calls to support, calls to show up. This is not a tennis tournament anymore. This is a cultural event. Put yourself in the position of any other player in that draw. You arrive expecting a standard WTA 500 atmosphere, professional, respectful, a few hundred committed fans scattered across the week. Instead, you walk into a wall of sound, thousands of voices, flags everywhere, a single name chanted over and over, and that name is not yours. While this explosion of identity and pride is unfolding in Austria, the contrast with Sabalenka's recent experiences becomes impossible to ignore. Indian Wells in March documented sparse attendance during her matches, fan videos showing sections of the stadium nearly empty, social media posts calling it out. The backlash was real enough that tennis forums spent days dissecting it. Drama coverage from multiple YouTube channels has gone further, claiming that fans prioritized matches featuring rising stars like Eala, leading to boycotts or disinterest when the top-ranked players took the court. Reports, unverified by mainstream outlets but circulating widely, suggest the Miami final suffered similar issues. Empty seats, low energy, the #1 in the world playing to a room that felt half full. Tournament officials from Indian Wells to Miami have not confirmed these claims directly, but the fan videos do not lie. The empty sections were visible, the disparity was real, and now in Linz, the contrast plays out in reverse. Eala, ranked 45, playing her first clay event at this level, is the one drawing the center court assignment, the one inspiring cross-country travel, the one turning a quiet Austrian city into a destination. Fans who followed Eala's journey saw this coming long before the tennis establishment did. They recognized something the rankings could not measure. They understood that filling seats is not about who has the best record. It is about who represents something larger than themselves. That Instagram story Eala posted, the Filipino grocery store, the Uy Philippines caption, captured it perfectly. She was not performing, she was being herself, finding pieces of home in a foreign country, sharing that joy with the people who have carried her this far. When a player does that, when they make their success feel like a shared victory rather than an individual achievement, the response is not applause, it is devotion. Sandra Reichel has spent decades in professional tennis. She competed on the tour. She has organized events. She has seen every kind of player walk through tournament gates, legends, rising stars, journeymen grinding for ranking points. When she calls Alex Eala unbelievable, she is not speaking as a casual observer. She is speaking as someone who understands what separates a good player from a phenomenon. Reichel did not have to put Eala on center court for every match. The tournament could have scheduled her on an outer court for the early rounds, saving the main stage for higher seeds. That is standard practice. That is how most WTA 500 events operate. But Reichel made a different calculation. She saw the fan interest building. She saw the Philippine embassy getting involved. She saw what was happening on social media. And she understood that Alex Eala is not just another entrant in the draw. She is the reason people are buying tickets. What is happening in Linz signals something the WTA has not fully reckoned with yet. The traditional model for Jurisatsne Handab, promote the top-ranked players, assume fan interest follows the rankings, build marketing campaigns around Grand Slam champions, is breaking down, or at the very least, it is being challenged by a new force, cultural identity, diaspora pride. The power of representation. Filipino communities exist in nearly every major city on Earth. Over 100 million people in the Philippines itself, millions more spread across the Middle East, Europe, North America, Asia. When one of their own steps onto a tennis court, it is not just a match. It is a validation of their presence, their worth, their place in a sport that has historically centered European and American stars. Eala's upcoming schedule includes Stuttgart, Roland Garros, every clay event between now and the summer. If the Linz mobilization is any indication, tournament directors across Europe are about to discover what it means to host a player who travels with an entire nation behind her. Meanwhile, Sabalenka continues her dominant season. Her tennis is undeniable. Her results speak for themselves. But if the attendance issues from Indian Wells and Miami persist, if the pattern holds that fans are choosing cultural connection over pure ranking excellence, the WTA has a commercial problem on its hands because the player with the trophy and the player who fills the stadium are no longer guaranteed to be the same person. Eala is not perfect. Miami proved that. She reached the round of 16 after strong wins over Laura Siegemund and Magda Linette. Then she faced Karolina Muchova. The scoreline was brutal, 0-6, 2-6, a dismantling. The kind of loss that exposes exactly how much work remains between the top 50 and the top 10. Eala did not post about it. No emotional statement, no lengthy reflection. Instead, she moved on, transitioned to clay preparation, flew to Austria, found a Filipino grocery store and smiled about it. That is resilience without the performance, progress without the need to narrate every setback. Sandra Reichel called her unbelievable. 30,000 Filipinos mobilized across Austria. The Philippine embassy issued public calls for support. A 20-year-old making her clay debut earned center court placement over higher seeds. And somewhere, the #1 in the world has been playing in front of sections of empty seats. Alex Eala is not just advancing in tournaments, she is rewriting the economics of fan attention. She is proving that the People's Champion era is not a theory anymore. It is the present reality. And the gap between ranking dominance and cultural dominance has never been wider. The fans who believed in her before the world caught up are being proven right, not because she won a Grand Slam, not because she cracked the top 10, but because she made herself impossible to ignore by staying exactly who she is. Is Eala's fan army the future of WTA attendance, or will the top players eventually find a way to match this kind of cultural pull? Who are you showing up for the next time you buy a ticket? If you have been following Alex Eala's rise, if you saw this coming before the tennis world did, you are part of a community that recognized greatness before the rankings reflected it. Subscribe. Because this story is just reaching the clay courts, and what happens at Roland Garros will make Linz look like a warm-up. Drop your prediction below. How far does she go in her first real clay campaign at this level? The believers were right. The world is watching now.